Greetings, salutations my friend. Whenever I say something about Trump on this channel, whether in his defense, such as the shooting that took place last year, or condemn him for something or say something negative about him, such as I think he's in bed with Putin, or he surrounds himself with fascist-leaning people or actual fascists in his administration. Whenever I say anything about Trump, there's always like 10 people unsubscribing from my channel, which really makes it seem that it's a pretty splitting topic. And I don't mind people leaving, you know. If you feel like leaving because you don't like my opinions, please go ahead. But I'm also a person who wishes to be completely honest. I always fancied this channel that I'm having here as a place where I don't pander to the left or to the right. I'm just speaking my mind. And I have changed my mind about Trump in the course of the last year. And you know, it's not like I've been a part of the MAGA. I've never been a Trump supporter of any sorts, but I also haven't been like a super intense hater of Trump. You know, coming from more an anarchist point of view, I don't really like any politicians. I never simped for any politicians. I never supported any of them or any parties. You know, it doesn't matter to me whether they're Republicans or Democrats, whether the Labour Party or Tories. Never mattered to me. I just think that most of them are corrupt. Sure, there are like few good ones, but in a sea of corruption, it doesn't really change much. You know, I never supported the idea of voting, because I think that voting and democracy is one big scam. And so, when it comes to Trump, I used to think, yeah, he's bad. He's bad, but they're all bad, right? So, what difference does it make? He's just another corrupt politician. And people say he's not a politician, he's actually a businessman, part of the reason why they vote for him. No, he's a politician at this point. There's no denying that. It sort of always bothered me that MAGA, that is supposedly anti-elitist, anti-elites, as actual elites leading this movement, that is Trump and Elon. Yeah, that kind of defeats the very purpose of being anti-elitist. However, I never thought of Trump as like super bad, you know, mostly because I don't think that all people voting for Trump are bad people. And a lot of people on the left these days will tell you, you know, the opposite. Like, all Republicans are pieces of shit, you know. Everyone who votes for Trump is a bad person. You know, they're racist, homophobic, transphobic, whatever. I don't agree with this notion. I have met people who voted for Trump, and I always, you know, like to think, and since I want to understand why people have the thoughts they have, rather than go into actual debates with the people and, you know, fight them like, oh, I'm right, you're wrong. And so, you know, when you get to know people, it's not like they're bad. Sure, there are some real scumbags voting for Trump. Then there are also some real scumbags who are voting for Obama, Hillary, Biden, and so on. And so, because I know that some people who vote for Trump, some people who like Trump, aren't bad people, and this always made me believe that there must be something good in Trump, you know, underneath all that bad shit, that there's something there, that all these boogeyman stories the left keeps telling us is just propaganda, really. And while, you know, to some degree, I still think it is fear-mongering to a certain degree, you know, such as concentration camps for homosexuals. Now, would I say that this would never happen? No. But is it very likely? No. it's just one tactic to get people to vote for the opposite party. Really, that's what it is. I wanted to believe that there was some good to Trump, that he could stop the war, you know, Ukrainian-Russian war.
I will prevent, and very easily, World War III, very easily. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled. And it will take me no longer than one day. I know exactly what to say to each of them. I got along very well with them.
Considering that Trump has now been in his second term of presidency for half a year now, you know, a lot of bad shit has happened. And I was largely changing my mind about Trump even before that, throughout this whole last year. But right now, especially considering the bombing, the attack on Iran, I'm starting to think, you know, maybe he is worse than all the other presidents, you know, or at least in the top of the very worst ones, because I never like to think of it in the hierarchy, you know, I just like to think of all of them as assholes, that's all. But I don't think Biden is far behind him, really. I still think Biden was one of the worst presidents ever. But as things stand now, what a lot of people voting for Trump are saying, like, Trump will stop this war, well, things have escalated further. And, you know, it's partially not all of Trump's fault, right? Like, this conflict has existed from before. It would have happened whether Trump existed or not. You know, the tensions between, let's say, Israel and Palestine, oh, it has been going for almost 100 years now, right? So we can't put all blame on Trump. However, I think the choice... Holy shit, there was a deer running there. But I think the decision that Trump has made, it's going to bite US back in their ass, you know, because I fear future retaliation from Iran, and it's not gonna look good. You know, if US is going to get another 9/11 or something worse than that, Trump is partially to blame. You know, I'm thinking just how many new terrorists are we creating? A generation of new terrorists through this war, and we are focusing just on this war that is going here and now. But what about the future? You know, this is going to have horrible repercussions. Now, for the second thing, the tariffs. You know, the other time tariffs this high were introduced was like towards the end of the 19th century, and that saw a period in US history with a lot of unemployment, poverty. Although I don't think it will be that dramatic, because it's not like things have been going very well under Biden's administration. You know, inflation going over the roof. It wouldn't be as noticeable by all means, but still, I just have no idea what he was thinking, honestly. And then, you know, the purpose of this new administration, it was supposed to be to save the cost government spending. That's not exactly what we're seeing, though, right? It's just that the spending was redirected towards military purposes and border security. And don't get me wrong, I'm not in support of open borders, considering things like human trafficking and cartels and all of that. I think we need borders, but I'm also not against immigration. I'm pretty much pro-immigration by all means, but I think the way the Democratic Party, the Biden's administration handled that was a complete disaster. Going back to the topic, Trump just ended up redirecting government spending instead of actual saving. And healthcare is going to suffer on that. With everything I'm seeing, I have to say, yes, I changed my mind about Trump. I think he's no longer one of all of them corrupt politicians and assholes. Now I think he's one of the worst of them we have seen in America's history, at least. Not world history by any means, hell no. But as far as American history is concerned, he's definitely in like top 3 worst presidents in history. The left would like to tell you that he's a dictator. And let's be realistic, that's not exactly the truth, right? He's not a dictator by objective means. I think he fancies himself as a wannabe dictator, seeing how things are going, and the fact that he ordered the attack on Iran without approval from the Congress is already a reason good enough to kick him out of this position. Now, if we're to go by the definition of a dictator first introduced in classical antiquity, more specifically by Aristotle, because Aristotle thought of a dictator as someone who's in the position of power at the very top of that hierarchy, who acts largely as in his own interest rather than interest of the state or interests of the people, who acts with cruelty and tyranny. I can definitely some traits Trump has that would kind of fit into that category, right? He's definitely acting in his own interest. He's a super selfish leader. I don't really get people who say he's this one president who cares about the country, its people. I don't see it. Please feel free to change my mind on that. I'm willing to change my mind if you can actually show it to me. But I'm not seeing it. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't think his level of cruelty has actually gotten to the point where he could be classified as a dictator, going by that definition. And also, there is a body of power behind him that doesn't give him a monarchy type of dictator status. I would say the possibility of him actually becoming a dictator is rather unlikely. It's not something I would worry about. Don't buy into this fear-mongering. But the thing is that even if he's still doing harm. And finally, and this is sort of a secondary topic, I think it's kind of hot, honestly. The weather's been pretty hot recently. Maybe that's why I'm thinking of tropics. No, the secondary topic. I fucking did it again. The secondary topic I want to cover is whether anarchists should vote. Throughout my whole life, I was thinking that I wouldn't want to vote because I don't support any political party. I don't support the programs, I don't support any politicians, and I have no interest in dating. I believe that it's not like you actually have a choice, you have an illusion of choice. And while I would love to go deeper into this specific topic, I have a different video planned for this year in which I will do that. The point I'm trying to make is that I sort of changed my view on that. And while I still think that people who are not correctly informed about the programs of different political parties shouldn't be voting, I also don't think people should be voting in a specific interest, like one specific thing they support that they want to vote for, but ignore everything else. I think that's sort of a misinformed voting that I think we should be avoiding. However, I changed my mind when I changed my perspective from I don't want to vote for something to I want to vote against something. While I'm not an American citizen, If I was, I would most likely vote in 2024 for the first time in my life. And truth be told, I would vote for Kamala. And you know, I would be cringing while doing that, because I really disliked the Biden-Harris administration. I really did. I would be cringing. I wouldn't be voting for them, but I would be voting against Trump for sure, even if I still to this day defend Trump when it comes to the shooting that happened last year and condemn the actual shooter. So yeah, my point of view on voting has definitely changed. I think we should be avoiding the greatest evil by voting against it. Well, at best in support of lesser evil. I think the point of it is really to just minimize the damage, you know? Vote in favor of that does least harm. And it's a hard choice, you know? Nobody says it's easy, because I think that whatever you're voting for, it's doing some sort of harm to somebody. And you know, I guess that's the curse of being human, a political animal. Alright, that's about it. You know, just me being honest about my thoughts and where I'm standing. And I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a good day. Cheers and ciao.